Vikir and Ayen are relaxing in the hero's spring, talking about what happened in the forest with the merchants and the mercenaries. Ayen looked at Vikir and said that she knew that those merchants were taking an excessive amount of profits, and she had a vague idea, so it was good that we used this chance to get back at them, and added that if Vikir didn't do anything, she would have done it herself. Vikir laughed and said, "He know." Ayen's face turned even red and tell Vikir don't laugh. I knew it. It's common knowledge that diamonds cost more than corn in the empire. Vikir looked at Ayen and asked her, "How much more expensive do you think it will be?" Ayen rolled her eyes for a moment. Then she spoke, sounding slightly unconfined. "1 diamond is worth at least 10 ears of corn, isn't it? Or 20? 30? Vikir laughed. Then he told Ayen how much a diamond was worth in the empire and how many ears of corn it was worth. Ayen was horrified. Shut out what? And said, "You can buy that many, and tell him, you're crazy, a piece of stone is worth nothing, and corn is edible." Ayen realizes that she got caught lying. She put her hand in her mouth and tell Vikir that she know that. With a surprise in her face, Ayen addressed Vikir, that your logic within the empire is strange, and ask him, where would you use that stone? Vikir tell her that doesn't matter. Vikir stare at her after, that ask her to choose between calling him Vikir or slave. Ayen noticed that Vikir is serious while telling her that he don't like keep things ambiguous. Ayen tell Vikir, you ask which one you want me to call you by? She closed her mouth for a while, and then she got close to Vikir and tell him, you don't like ambiguity, right? Vikir stare at her with surprise in his eyes. Ayen touch him in the jaw and tell him that she'll make thing clear. Ayen with an embarrassed face, telling him that she doesn't want to call him Salve or Vikir. She got close to his face and I want to call you. There was a splash. Ayen got interrupted by some kids screaming and jumping to the hero's spring. Ayen become more embarrassed with a weird look at her face. The kids smile. Greeting Ayen and Vikir, Ayen asked them how they got here. The kids didn't care, and told her let's play. Vikir looking at the keep thinking about what she said. If it's neither his name nor slave, then how does she want to treat him? Ayen shouting at the kids calling them rascals, and explained that if more people enter the spring sufficiency will reduce by half. The children ran away from Ayen and went behind Vikir. Vikir remind her of what she said before. Didn't someone say that a true Balak wouldn't be stingy regarding such things? The kids tells her that's right and call Ayen stingy commander, Ahun with 2 little girl, tell them it's the matriarch's command. And explain that, due to the drug's side effects, brought upon by the merchants, the command order the sick children to go into the hero's spring to heal from the drugs. Ayen thinking about her mother, could it be that she want to make a fool out of me? Ahun looking at Vikir wanting to say something. Vikir turned behind him noticing Ahun staring at him. Ahun looks nervous and tell Vikir, thanks for helping my younger sister. Ahun young sister also thank him for helping her. Vikir glanced toward Ahun, whereas Ahun continues saying, I'm sorry for misunderstanding. You this whole time. Vikir's reply was like, don't care. Yeah. That made Ahun furious and start shouting at Vikir telling him, we're apologizing. Here and that's all you have to say? With a calm expression, Vikir said that you have a lot of anger inside of you, smiling broadly. Ayen saying to herself as she, that there is still a lot of time for me to make him mine. Vikir is soaking in the hot springs, just trying to recover. Vikir heard his name from behind, turned back to find that Ayen. Call him by his name, Ayen, having given up on everything, opened his arms to Vikir. Welcome to officially become a member of the Balak. 2 years passed after he joined the Balak clan, a punch in the face of one of Balak's warriors, perhaps in his late teens. He grunted, his nose dripping with blood. It was Ahun. Ahun in the ground, and 2 Balak members stand in amazement at what happened. And in front of him stood an impassive-looking man with an extended fist. It was Vikir. He tell Ahun, you're more of a crybaby than I thought. Vikir stared down at Ahun with a grim expression. That's enough hand-to-hand combat. Our sparring end here today. Vikir turned away without another word. Ahun grabbed his companion's hand to help him to his feet. As Vikir walked away, Ahun spat at the back of his head. Ahun called Vikir a bastard that become more and more of a monster since your body recovered. The others around him, I also heard that his marksmanship is on par with Commander Ayan recently. But still, how can he be compared to Commander Ayan? The other Balak said, yeah. Ahun's nose was bleeding, but that's something I can handle. I can hit Ahun's nose and make it bleed, too. As his co-workers exchanged giggles, Ahun spoke in a low voice. It didn't hit, Ahun tell them. The fist. I didn't get hit. Ahun tell them that Vikir had extended his fist and stopped in front of his face. The pressure of the wind that followed was enough to make Ahun's nose bleed. The others' mouths dropped open in disbelief. Vikir just turned 17 this year. His face has aged a lot. His short stature grew with each passing day. The hero spring water did a lot for Vikir. Not only has his body fully recovered, but he is much stronger in body and spirit. Realizing that Ahun and the other warriors his age were no longer glaring at him, Vikir showed his true strength. Although there's still a long way to go before achieving the 10th technique, getting to the 6th technique at 17 is formidable growth. The boiling mana in his body is now spinning at high speed in 6 circles. With this, Vikir had reached the upper levels of the perfect gradient. But I still can't get past the master's wall. Vikir was confident that he could fight and defeat a graduate in real life. One weight class above, an ability that allowed him to kill stronger opponents. This was thanks to the protection of the river Styx, which made his bones and flesh tough and hard, the magic sword Beelzebub, and the archery and assassination skills he learned from the barbarian warriors of Balak. In Jungle Bakura Play with a Butterfly, Vikir was measuring the depth of the muddy marks. Mushu Hushu, the water snake. It's a very old and large one. If we catch it, it will feed the entire village for at least 3 days. He noticed that there was something suspicious in her behavior, and she answered only with one answer. So Vikir suspected her and asked her, Is there a problem? Ayane, are you thinking about something else while we're hunting? Vikir said to Ayan. She was surprised and her face turned red after Vikir's question, but she said, No, I'm not thinking about anything. Ayan wants to divert Vikir's attention from the question, so she decides to show him something that a member of another group gave her to ask Vikir if he knows any information about it. He looks at her with suspicion, that she is hiding something. Just then, Ayan spoke up, her voice sounding much lighter. Oh, by the way, I have something else for you. She pulled an object from her bosom. It was the dagger left behind by the mysterious intruders mentioned in the last report. Ayan tell him that the hunting group brought a dagger from an imperialist who trespassed the deep forest. Ayan asked him if he know anything about this emblem. Vikir's eyes narrowed at the sight of it. He tell her no of it. It's a famous mark, an extremely famous clan, Leviathan. It was the emblem of a certain family in the Empire, a significant clan that is part of the 7 imperial clans along with the Baskerville clan, the Iron-Blooded Sword clan, the Mages of Morgue, the Quavatis of Faith, the Bourgeois of Tycoon, and others. But why would it be found here in the depths at this time of year? Ayan tell Vikir that she thought it might have been someone's dagger from the mercenary group they massacred 2 years ago, but thankfully, it wasn't. Ayan also tell Vikir, one thing that's bugging her is that in various places around the headwaters, they poured a red liquid from a glass bottle and retreated. The suspicious men poured it into the river and then slipped back through the jungle. Balak's warriors captured one of the dogs, who immediately consumed the poison they had hidden in his mouth and killed himself. All he left behind was a dagger with the markings of a single, large snake on it. Vikir noticed that Ayan wanted to say something to him, and Ayan, with a withdrawn and tense face, said to him, I want to ask you about something. Ayan look in another direction and she says, I want to ask you something. Don't you want to return to your hometown? Viker doesn't understand where all this come from, with that weird expression. He scratches his neck and asks Ayan, why are you suddenly asking me that? Ayan looking sad, her hand. Steepling, tell Vikir she doesn't like secrets or lies, and be honest with him. There was another imperialist who came to the deep forest. And I think they are looking for you, and you are their target behind their coming to the deep forest. Vikir. Surprised by what she said about the imperialist who came to the deep forest, and thinking who could be looking for him, Ayan told him, it was someone you know, it's that girl came to the deep forest. Yes, she was, referring to Morg's Camus from the Morg's clan.